Hello, everyone. Hope can you hear me very well. You can hear me very well. Please just someone write yes on the chat. Okay, great. Okay, so we'll wait for another 1 or 2 minutes till we see that many people join us. Then we can resume within the next 2 to 3 minutes. Hope you are all at home, safe and healthy, spending good, valuable time with your family and kids and partners. And you can see the slide, I do believe. Everyone can see the slide as well, yeah? Okay, great. I can see many people are joining still, like it's counting up. So I will wait for another 1 minute because every 1 second, one person joining more and more. I'll give it for another 1 minute before we start. Okay, I think I will start now and more people will join. Okay, so first of all, thank for everyone that joined us today. It was really a good time for you to spend it and earn more PDU. I really appreciate that. And first of all, we want to thank as well PMI for hosting many webinars in the last month and spending us good time to learn and to adapt in the current situation we have in. So a big thanks, and I can hear applause on the chat for PMI UAE chapter. Really appreciate it for that, and for all of you as well for attending, and for the next presenter as well who's coming in the next week and after. So, first of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Muhammad Musleh. I'm PMP certified and Lean Six Sigma, as well. I have biomed engineering background. So, this presentation will be about Agile innovation journey. So, we'll talk specifically about how companies innovate and how to think in Agile way. And as well, in the second part, we'll talk about how to implement design thinking and lean startup in our innovation journey. So this presentation mostly will be in around like we'll make it in 3 parts, and between every part I will pause for like 5 or 7 minutes to make a question. So I don't want to keep continuing talking for 2 hours. So I'll make it very interactive. So whenever I pause, if you have any question, keep it, and we'll in the next pause we'll stop and answer your question in the Q&A and chat. However, like if you write it in the chat box, I might cannot read it, but I'll try my best. So, but if you have specific question, just write it down and put it on the Q&A question so I can read it and answer it. And within like, it's around, this will be like 2 hours, 1 hour, 45 minutes, and we have like 60 slides. So I'll try to my best to make it very interactive for all of you. So just a brief about myself. I'm running now my own company on consulting and business innovation. It's called Think Innova, Rethink Innovation. Previously, I used to work with Siemens Healthcare and Herman Miller, which is work in design and consulting, and GE Healthcare. So you can see like big company I used to work with and learn from them. As well, like I have MBA from UK, Cass Business School. This is like the place where I start to discover the world and understand more about business away from my engineering background. So in Siemens, I was managing the healthcare enterprise services. We were managing a lot of new business modeling, transformation in healthcare. In GE, I was the GE country manager for UAE as well. Like we are in the whole digital transformation and business modeling transformation for Ministry of Health and many healthcare enterprises. And in Herman Miller, I was leading the business consulting and design consulting. So mostly it was about leading design services and in the healthcare industry as well. So you see that my experience diverse and mostly in the corporate world. So quickly, I will talk about now about the agenda. First, we'll start about why we need a new innovation, what the purpose of this presentation. Like we'll talk more detail about why we need to rethink the way we innovate to improve our business and to develop new ideas and to as well to change the business model. The second part as well, we'll talk about how. So what the approach, how we can transform, how we can be disruptive, what the strategy, what kind of services, what kind of new mindset we need to have. So we'll specifically here, I'll talk about the approach. Then we'll talk about the what which is like the technique, what the technique we need to do, what the technique we need to have, and what kind of tools and method we need to apply and to adapt. So from these three parts, I always like to start with why and how and what, so we can understand exactly our journey that we will go through it. Second thing is like, I want to talk about for whom this like will be beneficial, like for whom I'm presenting that. Well, first of all, I do believe this will be mostly for innovation project manager. So if you are like in a project that inside a company or you're running a specific project on innovation, regardless what innovation is, innovation in business, innovation on services, or an innovation on a customer, this is like if you are managing a project on this presentation or session will be very helpful for you. The second part is if you are agile innovator, a coach, like you are having a team and you are mostly applying agile methodology in innovation and innovating either like a software or a product or a specific business or a specific initiative, and you're having team you are managing, this will be very beneficial for you as well. The third category as well, if you are a program or portfolio manager and you are working with the corporate, and the corporate have a specific venture or a program they need to accelerate, and they have different programs where each of these program have different let's say innovation initiative, and you need to manage this kind of initiative. This presentation as well and this session will be make you very helpful, because later on we'll see that where every one of those are relying and where they exactly locate in the innovation journey inside the company. Either if you are in the first front as the project manager in innovation, or if you are like having a specific team and you are working in a program with different project manager, so you're like kind of agile innovator, a coach, or if you are like handling a complete portfolio with investment and innovation and different initiative inside the company. So this exactly see where you are relying and which kind of role you are play, and this session will make you very like will help you to think outside the box and to open your horizon in innovation. So let's start with why we need a new mindset, why we need to new thinking in innovation. Well, as you can see that we're living in VUCA. I do believe some of you have heard about VUCA once we were studying the PMP exam. and become very popular over here. VUCA is a stand of, it's technically it's a military acronym. So it starts with the military when they were facing a lot of issues and problems and a counterattack from the enemy in the front line. So they were always waiting for the decision to apply and return back. So what unfortunately happening that all these small army in the battlefield, whenever they wait the feedback from the let's say from the headquarters, either from the country or from the mothership, the enemy already attack and they take over everything. So they end up as like, we cannot rely on our decision. We should think more agile. We should like centralize our decision, and we should have fast, quick, agile thinking to respond to the enemy. We cannot live in this way. So that's why the military, they come with something called, we are living in a VUCA world. So VUCA, it starts with the V, is volatility. Volatility, that means there's a lot of changes, rapid changes, and it's always unpredictable. So this is exactly what the enemy was facing, and now exactly what we are facing now with the current pandemic. It's very volatile. We don't know what's happening now. Everybody's like waiting till this pandemic finish. The second thing is the U. U is the uncertainty. Uncertainty is like, we don't know exactly how the situation in the present is not clear, and we still waiting to collect more information and to take a decision. So currently, no one can in the whole world take decision for the next week or even for the next month, because still we're living in an uncertainty time where even the lack of information, and we're still just trying to gather more information to learn. The third thing is the C, which complicity. Complicity with that, you see that the whole world is very complex now. A lot of information, a lot of interaction, and many connection around the globe. So, and any decision you want to apply or to think about it, there's many factors, many key factors apply in this decision making you want to take. So you end up as like living in a complex world with a lot of variety, a lot of complexity, and a lot of interaction between your decision maker and a lot of factors. So you end up as like you cannot really think and apply without having clear information about these connection and factor affecting your decision. The fourth thing is ambiguity. Ambiguity, that means lack of clarity about meaning of the event. That means like there's not clear vision exactly what's happening. And this is what exactly Corona is happening now. No one have clear vision about the future. And we always what doing now is just making hypotheses. Okay, I'm trying to test. Okay, hypothesis that Corona will end up with the next 2 3 weeks, and then we'll take it further from there. Or maybe it will take 6 months, or maybe it will take 1 year. So this ambiguity put us in a decision that we need to have system thinking, and we need to create more hypotheses to innovate, or more hypotheses to implement our strategy. So that's why they call it ambiguity, because you don't have like clarity on your decision. So this is acronym VUCA. It become now very popular in the last, let's say, 6 months, especially because the whole world is changing and the economy is changing, and as well, pandemic is happening every time. So this lead us to having, we need a new innovation. So the innovator dilemma over here, that we are living in VUCA, and the VUCA is affecting the world and affecting the business. So this make us that the current innovation we are having is not enough. What does it mean? Because first of all, the technology is evolving very fast, and there's high pressure on creating a new value to our customer, to our market. So that means with this high speed, we cannot really rely on the current technology to innovate. Second thing, there's high disruption. Any market now, we have a new entrants coming. And there's no any safe harbors, and many startup is coming and disrupt big company. So that's why if you are innovating in the current situation, we have to take care that there's always disruption. So you cannot rely always on the current, let's say, if you are innovating in technology, or if you are innovating on a product, or if you're innovating only in software. So that's why you need to think outside the box, and the way you innovate in the past is not helping anymore. The third part is like, and why we need a new way to innovate, and the dilemma is the transformation. Now you see that everything going to digitalization and improving more experience to our customer, more experience to the market. So this lead that if you are nowadays not on the digital world and transforming your business, that means you will get out immediately, you will get disrupted. And this is what we see now in Uber and Amazon and Airbnb. They transform their business, they make it very digital, and like they're disrupting everything. So that's why it's like any companies now, they need to innovate the way they're doing the business, the way they transform, the way they innovate, so they can survive. The fourth thing is the commodities, that now there's a high pressure on the price and high pressure that if you only compete on the best price and always compete on the margin, you will be easily kicked out, because nowadays the customer is not really rely on the price. If you are a price, you'll be commodity, and that's it. You will get outside the market. So to innovate now is, if you want to think outside the box for innovation, you should stay away from the commodity and the price and price sensitivity, or only to differentiate yourself in the cheapest product. Why? Because by then you will be easily disrupt, because and the market is moving very fast. So from this two part, we can see that why we need a new way to innovate, why we need a new method, why we need a new approach to innovate, because we are living in a VUCA and there is many dilemma nowadays on innovation. So how we can do that? Well, I'll give you a quick experience I had. First of all, we need a new mindset. So we need a new mindset on thinking, a new mindset of innovation. So the way we innovate in 90s or early 2000 is not working anymore. So one of the experience I had is like when I was in GE, as well in Siemens, the waterfall to innovate, to discover and to design something and deploy it in the market and take like 2 to 3 years to innovate something, this is not working anymore. So one of the experience I'd had at that time is once the lean startup, let's say, movement start with Eric Ries, he said like, why we need to innovate on a long term, why we have to spend 2 or 3 years to spend on time and effort in innovation, why we don't just build something fast, measure it in the market, if they like it, we can take it further. And once Eric Ries start with this movement, some people thought, okay, maybe this is only work out with the software, or maybe it's work out only with the digital transformation. But at that time, GE came over and said, okay, what, you know what, we want to adopt this guy and we want to help us on innovation. And GE is like, they are doing a high capital equipment. They're doing something really big. They need something on capital equipment and like engines, healthcare equipment, power plant, as well home appliances. So they adopt him and they said, okay, let's work with this framework to work fast and to build something that customer already wanted, measure it in the market and try to learn. Because in this kind of agile innovation, this is what we need nowadays. So what exactly happened, like GE take this at my time, they take it and they call it fast works. Fast work, that means something work fast and efficient to innovate. So we start to find, okay, let's start with the customer. Let's start to define the problem, what the problem exactly. And let's have leap of faith. Leap of faith, that means you will first person jump to solve this problem, and then you will have the advantage over it. Then we'll create something fast, something small, MVP. I do believe most of the software developer, they are aware about the MVP, this minimum viable product. And we'll see if this minimum viable product will test it in the market. If it will work efficient, then we'll take it further from that. Either we pivot or perceive. Pivot, that means like we'll completely move out from it and try to something else. Persevere, that means like we try to adapt it and to change it again. So in this way of innovation, agile innovation, it's helped GE to develop many products and to develop many, let's say, innovation capitals to help in the market. And as well, once they finish it, they start to implement it in other countries. So one of the examples they did, they start with the home appliances. They start like to test a refrigerator to make something fast, design 2 or 3, create it in the market, put it in the shop, and see if it's work out and the markets love it or no. And then they take it further. They start to develop a diesel engine, and this is one of the famous. Rather than spending 5 or 7 years plan to develop a series of diesel engine, they start to make it with like between 6 to 18 months to develop one diesel engine, innovate it, test it in the market. If they love it, they will take it further to the factory. And this save for them a lot of money and a lot of effort. Before that, if they want to develop one engine, it took them 5 years plan with zero income. And after that, they start to generate money for the next 30 years. But with this agile thinking, okay, let's develop something to see if the market will love it or not, then they will take it further from there. And as well, they start to test it in the healthcare. And the healthcare, like they start to make an incubator for the neonatal, and as well they are doing more ultrasound. Now, this is from the factory perspective. So what they did exactly over here, they come over and they said, okay, let's apply it in the other countries. So they start to go to every country. I said, if you have a specific project in innovation, you want to test it in the market, either like to test a new business model, you want to think about a new idea, you have a bit of money, go create MVP, test it in the market. If it's successful, we'll come back to scale it up. And there's like complete training and session about that being communicated with most of employees who are interested in that. I've been experienced personally and adapting this in New York, where they have this on college to teach people how to adapt the fast works. Now, I kept here a video if you want to see it. Yeah, if you go to YouTube, Alan, you can learn more about this kind of agile innovation. So these kind of example that GE start to adapt and to have. So after that, a new innovator come, which name is Tendai Vicky. I said, okay, it looked like this lean startup is working and the new way of innovation is helping. So why we don't have something called the corporate startup? Corporate startup, that means every corporate, they should have their own startup that they think and innovate and to adopt idea and go to the market rather than adopting a startup from outside. Why we don't innovate inside with this agile innovation? So what happened here, the growth system, start with from the executive part. The executive, they should, rather than spend 5-6 years plan in innovation, they should have this kind of agile thinking on every 6 months or every 4 months to see where they want to spend their money in. So rather than to spend $3 or $6-7 million every year on innovation, why they don't cut it in short and they spend it in every 4 or 5 months, and they have this strategic vision in a project if it's aligned with their vision. Then they can take it further with the project manager, with the portfolio manager, with the program manager, and say, okay, guys, we decided to innovate in 1, 2, 3 projects. Can you take it further, see what's kind of the market, and try to manage it with your team? So the management innovation, they take it further with the innovation lab. Innovation lab here, we see where you have the agile innovator, and you have the entrepreneur, and you have the startup, and you have the innovation manager. So every one of these mechanisms is working in a quarterly basis, and they report to the other part where like they think, okay, this is working out or it's not working out. Is it profitable? We test it in the market. Then they take it further. Now, I will go deeply in every process in the later on stages, but I want to give you first an overview about the process, how things happening and how the process happening between the strategic vision from the executive board, and as well in the management innovation between the portfolio and the program manager, and end up in the innovation lab where you start to have the idea and to test it in the market. So technically is like the innovation manager, they will have an idea, test it in the market, and try to see it on the lean startup methodology. The management innovation, they will see, okay, it's making money. They invest a little bit in every person to see if it's working out or not. And it end up is like they were reported to the strategic vision, which the executive board. So how this working technically? It's working technically, we have like 2 lines over here, the risk and the time. So first of all, whenever you have an investment, you start with a little bit amount of investment till you have like a more proper evidence that this investment is making money and it's something that customer, they really will love it. So in the beginning, the risk will be very high, but will end up the risk will go, I will demolish within time. So you'll start with a small idea and a small investment. So rather than have big idea to spend your money with high risk all over the next 2 or 3 years, no, why we don't have small ideas from different entrepreneur inside the company, and we invest with every individual to see if it's working out or not. So they will go out, these small entrepreneur, they will test it, they will try to adapt, test in the market, create MVPs, and within 3-4 months, if it's successful, if it pass, they will take it further. They will validate in the market and say, okay, what, like 30% of the people you invest in, they have good ideas and they can take it further in the market. Then, okay, we'll change, we invest only in the 30% of those people to make them grow and sustain. So this help corporate to have adopt the agile innovation. So they are not anymore spending a lot of money in the beginning in the early stage. No, they will invest a little bit on a few people and they will take it further to see if it's working out or no. So they're not anymore adapting the first, the waterfall. They will take it in different, let's say, build, measure, learn from every one of those small initiative you found it. And this will lead that the traditional model that's working with like a very hierarchy with the one big idea or one big project to invest, if it's work out or no, they start to find that there's a high investment and there's a high return if you invest in agile way with a small team, cross-functional, with the small ideas and to test it if it's working out or no. And this help to have more customer centricity, understand the market, and make it the innovation very flexible. And as well, like you having more experiment in the market, and it's like you adapt the idea of like fail fast and learn fast and take. So this helped them to adopt many ideas and cover more, let's say, more initiative, more ideas in the market, and like build something that customer that really love and want and need. And one of the example that I found, which is like when I was learning on that, is like Posh. Posh, exactly what they did is like they call something called innovation pipeline or funnel, that they start to invest in a small team, and every team will have a specific amount of money. If they pass, they will give it more money. If they didn't pass, they will kick out. And they call it agile product development, but mostly like an innovation in a product. And this helped them to excel, and they start to present their cases in many conferences and even in many coming books. So this exactly how we do the innovation and how we do the thinking on that. So now we'll talk about what exactly we can do. But before of that is like I just want to see anybody have questions so far before I start to the next part. Any question? If you have any question, just write it in the Q&A or in the chat box. Otherwise, I can keep going. Okay, someone asked about the MVP. We'll quickly mention the MVP over here on Crick. MVP is minimum viable product. Minimum viable product, that means rather than creating, for example, let's say, rather than going and create a complete production line for refrigerator and having the full features in the refrigerator, put it from day one on the planning and sending in the market with patches, and maybe customer will not like this refrigerator, or maybe they will not enjoy it, or maybe the refrigerator you have created is not exactly what the market needs. You can create something called MVP, minimum viable product, or minimum features refrigerator to test it in the market. That means this refrigerator, you will see, okay, what exactly the market like, what they love, will make kind of a prototype, and I will make it very efficient to see if this minimum refrigerator in the market, people will love it or not. So I will go and test it to see people will buy it, people will interact with it, they will like it. However, if they test it and they found there's many flaws and many issues on that, you save a lot of money for creating thousands of these refrigerators. So you're back in your factory and you create something small, like, and you readapt again. However, if the customer really love it, then you can take it further and build business on it and create more refrigerator in your production line. And this what helped GE as well on their business whenever they were doing in the big capital equipment. Like to make an engines, it will make them 5 years plan and a lot of money, like maybe $30 billion just to make a factory of it. But to create only one, and we call it minimum viable engine, to see if it's like working out and the customer love it and there's a business behind it, ship it and see, test it with 3, 4 pilot places and see if it's working out or not. So this is what it's mean, minimum viable product. It's kind of it's not really a mock-up, because mock-up is will not have full features. It's kind of a prototype, but with high quality that you can test it and you can somehow sell it and the customer can really use it. Mock-up is just something you will for testing, but technically is not really safe yet to try it. So it's kind of like a first version of the product to see if the customer will like it or no. So this is what it's the MVP. Okay, think. Okay, there's Abdullah's asking how you measure incremental growth with multiple MVP. Well, this is the point. Like the concept here, companies they're not looking for small incremental growth. They want to see if it's like if this is a growth will be very radical, very disruptive that they change the market. So what they will do is like they will have every a KPI. Okay, on this kind of a product and MVP, are we solving specific problem to the customer? They will have a KPI. Like for example, the customer they want to have efficient time on solving the problem. They want to have good experience. They want to have specific KPI. So in every MVP, you will go and put it in the market, and you will have a specific KPI to test it and to see, okay, are we solving the right problem? However, before you start with this, later on I will discuss detail in the design thinking that you start with the customer before you creating the MVP. And once you start from the customer, you can learn exactly what the customer looking for. And by then you can create your KPIs. Then you can test this KPI in the MVP and you see, okay, is there growth? Is there incremental growth coming? Are we making money? Are we solving real problem over here or no? So later on in the presentation, I will talk details about the design thinking and criteria of design thinking. And then you can learn, okay, how the MVP is tested and in which criteria we can see if it's giving a growth or no. Okay, I don't see more questions, so I'll take it further now. Okay, so and later on in the design thinking stage, I'll talk about the prototype, which kind of an MVP, and we'll explain details how it's happening. So what tools and technique, what approach we need to have? Well, once we come to innovation technique, we need to think about how we can add and capture new value. Okay, so if you want to create a new innovation method or you want to have a new technique, you need to think about, we need first of all to add and capture value to the customer. And this is the purpose of innovation. So first of all is like a new technique is to create a new customer experience. New customer experience is like the customer is enjoying your product and they like the using. It's like, for example, now what's Uber happening. So why everybody's using Uber? Because the experience is nice. People just from the apps, they use it. It's a very efficient, nice experience. You can pay online. You can order it. So the experience is completely different than having a taxi. So this is exactly the experience happening. And as well in Amazon, you go online and you do all your shopping and everything delivered at your home rather than go by yourself. So nowadays, the innovation technique you want to have is not only about the product itself, is like creating a good customer experience. The second part is like designing a new business model. So maybe sometime you have a good product. Later on, we will see in the design thinking stage. Maybe you have a good product and like the customer love it, but you're not making money. So what kind of innovation you want to do here is like you want to redesign the whole business model. You want to create a new business model behind your ideas and you behind your product that to make it very efficient for your money and for efficient for your business. The third part is like what we call it open innovation in service. Open innovation sometimes is like you cannot do everything by your own. You cannot like innovate and start from scratch. So you need to open yourself. You need to open your R&D and collaborate with a startup. You collaborate with other accelerator, with other innovation arms, or like for innovation incubator to capture with those out and see what kind of innovation you do. Like, for example, you see many startups now, they're doing apps. They're trying to create a platform or they are trying to solve specific problem with the customer. And they are very agile and they innovate very fast. So this one of innovation technique that you need to adapt in your company that, okay, go outside and learn from those startups because they are very agile. They don't go with the structure, with the hierarchy and all of that. They are very fast. They learn fast and they adapt them themselves. So that's why it's very good to be open in your innovation and adopt these people and put them in your ecosystem so you can innovate fast and accelerate your internal innovation. The other part is customer relationship. And this is exactly what's happening now in big companies. They're trying to move their relationship to the partnership. So rather than just selling an equipment and trying to compete on the price, they come with the customer. Like I remember when I was in GE and Siemens, they always was teaching us talk to the customer like we need to partner with them to help them to solve a problem. Yeah, and we are willing to help them to innovate in a new product or innovate a new solution. So rather than just selling a product or selling an equipment and compete in the price, take it to the next level. Let's make it on a partnership, win to win, to help them to solve their problem. Let's be their own consultant to help them to solve a problem. So if you only focus on the price and on sensitivity or only on the product, while you keep the relationship on this level, you will be kicked out and disrupted later on, because many people will come and they said, okay, I want to build a good customer relationship. And this is what's happening, like, for example, now on, for example, in Siemens and GE and with the Japanese company like Toshiba and Hitachi. Like Siemens and GE, they come with the big customers, okay, we need to be a partner. We need to build a business model with you. We need to have a platform. We want to work together on a partnership level, and we want to help you to make money and to win and to survive and to build good customer experience. However, the other Japanese, they come, they just, okay, we'll give you the best price, we'll give you the best equipment, and we'll reduce the price to compete with the big rivals like GE, Siemens, and Philips. So if you are focusing only on the price, you will be kicked out fast, because you cannot compete other company in the price where they have less operational cost. So this is the target is of the customer relationship. Last thing is like digital transformation. And this is what exactly happening now. The whole world is moving digital, and they are trying to build a digital business model. And this is exactly what's happening now with Amazon and Airbnb and Uber. So they move immediately to platform and to be a digital. So they disrupt the whole market. So the hotel now is struggling, taxi is struggling, retail is struggling. Why? Because the whole business model moving to a digital transform, and I will talk about this as well in the later stages in the presentation. But this is one of the innovation technique you have to think now about it. If you are not in digital and you are not building your own ecosystem and platform to interact and work with your client, you will be kicked out fast. So from this 5 area, and there's many area as well out there, but this is exactly what I was experiencing in my journey in Siemens and G and Herman Miller and in the market. But you have to think on exactly on one of these 5 area. But there's more area on it, but it will be like kind of branches of these 5 area. But to innovate, to have a new technique, you need to think on one of these spectrum. So what tool and methodology we need to think about? To apply this new technique and innovation, we need to have, like, I can put it here in a 4 methodologies, a new mindset in innovation. First of all, to innovate, you need to apply the new method, which is called the design thinking. Design thinking, I will describe it in details on the next slide, but it's more where you put your customer or human in the center and you start to innovate around him, where you create MVP, you create prototype, you understand exactly what their need, what their issue, and then you can take it further to innovate. The second part is, like, as I said in the beginning, there's no any more innovation on the product or on the price or a differentiate. It's about as well the business model. You have to create a new business model behind your product or behind your innovation project. So as you see that if you are working in a company and they adapt, okay, we need to create a new innovation, and you are the innovation manager and you want to take the project further. So you want to think about, okay, shall I start with design thinking and I say, okay, what kind of business model I want to innovate? And here is like where your role is, because you are a project innovation manager and you want to take it further. However, this exactly align with the corporate startup. Corporate startup is like, once they feel that there's a big pressure and we cannot do anything, we should catch small team and we have this as a startup team and take them further to implement new ideas and test it in the market. And this exactly to adapt the lean startup. So this is the methodology as well. I will talk as well in details in the later stages. The last one is the agile strategy. Agile strategy is, it's from the corporate mindset, from the executive team. Rather than spending 6 years or 5 years in innovation, they should cut it. They should have it in small stages and innovate in a small team. You have team to innovate with the market and adapt design thinking and try to innovate something new. You have separate team where they do business modeling and they go outside to test a new business model in the market. And as well, you have a startup team where, like, they want to innovate something new in the market, test it, and help to see if it's business behind it or no. But all of these will be in testing and creating a small MVP and put it in the market and see if it's working out or no. But all of these small projects, it will need an innovation manager project manager to adapt it. And then as you see in the first slide, like you should have a program manager and portfolio manager to manage all these small projects and as well to manage the investment. Shall we spend more money here or shall we cut the money here? And then we'll end up reporting to the executive, as you see in the three, let's say the 3-gear range, that everyone is working together and report to the other part. So here how you keep the wheel of innovation running all the time in your company. So let's start with the design thinking. Now, the issue with the, like I see with the design thinking, people think that it's for a product or for just develop an experience or user experience. Actually, it's not. It's not only for something to design a product. Design thinking, it's a methodology. It's like, it's a mindset of innovation. So if you want to take it as a way only to design a product or to design, let's say, something about designer or user experience, it's no. It's wider than that. Why? Because like design thinking is like you're trying to solve a problem. It's a way to solve a problem and innovate. But you take a holistic approach. Holistic approach, that means you don't start immediately from the middle where developing the product. No, you start from the customer. You put the human and the customer in the middle and try to solve around it. So that's why it can, in different perspectives, it can apply product, it can apply on system, it can apply it on the digital world, or even can apply on a software, or even in the service, as we will see in the later on. So in the design thinking, you have to learn two things. There's the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. The left side is like when you have the data and technicality and engineering. And the right side of the brain is you will have like the emotion and the empathy, where like the right side will you go outside and explore and understand and to see if, okay, this is the problem I want to solve. This is the issue that I have with this customer or with this human. Then you come and adopt the engineering or the technicality side and put them together. Well, before that, people were going outside and immediately create a product and try to sell it. So this is the engineering was doing. And they try many times to solve the issue of the product. However, in design thinking, they said, no, don't start with the product. Start first with the customer. Start first with the human to understand. Go outside, observe, look to them, understand them. And this now we'll see in the next few slides in details how we adopt design thinking and how we take it further. So in the design thinking, it's have two diamonds that we call it double diamond. The first diamond is once you start with the research. You start with the research is like you have a general problem statement, okay, in the market. Like for example, we have an issue in the market that the business is not going well, or like we need to make we want to build a new malls, or we want to build a new hospital, or we want to build a new product. So you go outside and you start your own research about the problem or specific thing in the market. And you just start to collect ideas. So that's what we see here at Diverge. So you start to collect insight about the market and do your own research and to understand exactly how the issue is happening now. Either you observe a market, or you observe a human, or you observe a specific customer, or even you observe a specific group of people to understand what the issue that you need, either create a new project or you create a new innovation or even solve a problem. Then after you come out from the market with your research, you start to make more of like, you take all these things you observe and you put them all in the wall, and you start to create insight from the team to exactly converge all these insight you have it from the market, from your observation, and to limit your specific problem. So you come from a general big problem, you have it, to small specific problem that you really want to solve. And this is exactly what's happening. Like if you start with in the middle over here and you start to ideate, you didn't understand exactly how the market, how the research, what the issue you want to solve, what exactly happening in the market, or what happened in the customer, or what happening in this issue. So once you come from outside and you start to generate more ideas inside, you have exactly, okay, I define my problem now, and I know the problem I want to solve. And I know it because I was outside observing, have this kind of cognitive thinking on, okay, I come from experience from the market, what exactly happening, and what the issue with my customer or with the human happening. Then, okay, I found the problem, I write it down, I put it on the wall, I sit with my team and said, okay, now we start to have, again, diversion our thinking. Let's put the idea out, how might we solve this problem? How you can make it like a viable for our business, or how we can solve it to make it beneficial to the customer. So the moment you have many ideas and you have like a big wide of ideas, you start, okay, we have now big ideas over here, we diverge. Let's think what's the best idea that we need to take it further and create MVP or prototype. And here is like exactly what will happen, that, okay, we'll start to create a prototype for specific ideas. Maybe you come up with 1,000 ideas or with 100 ideas, but you will select 1 or 2 or 3 maximum. Then, okay, well, let's create a prototype. Or maybe you have different team and every team will work in different prototype. Here, then you can have a specific solution for your specific problem. And this exactly what's happening now is like most customer or most company, they start immediately from the middle. They start to create ideas, or they exactly immediately start to create prototype without knowing exactly if they are solving the right problem, or without know exactly if we did the right research and we found there's a big issue in the market that we didn't touch it or we didn't highlight it. So this is what's happening now on the world, that most of companies or most of even startup, whenever they have a new innovation in a project or a corporate, they don't exactly go outside and to understand or even to collect data. Or later on, you see that they rely only on specific data, but without having a proper data in the market to go out and observe. So from here, you see that you start in the beginning with the chaos, random ideas. You don't know exactly what's happening. Then with the more research you will do, the more insight, the more ideation, you do more brainstorming, you will come up with clear design, a product or a solution or a business model that it will help and make it sustainable. Now, what I see in the market and what I see from my experience, that many executive and companies, they think that this will take time. Well, it might take a little bit time, but it will save a lot of money and effort for you, because you don't want to create a product that customer, they don't like it. Now, I will go into details about the process of design thinking. So here, exactly what I need you to know, that it's not linear and it's very iterative a process. And you want to understand, and you start with hypothesis. Okay, I have an assumption in the market. Shall the market love this product or no? So before starting, you go outside and you discover from the market itself if we are solving a right problem, they want it or no. Are we solving the right problem? Are we trying to solve something that customer they're really looking for? Shall we build a mall? Shall we build a new hospital? Shall we build a new, let's say, restaurant or no? But before doing that, if you want to rely only on data from the market, digital data, this will not help. You should go outside and observe in the market. Do we need another mall, or do we need another hospital, or do we need another restaurant? Or like we need another software or another platform. So, and this is exactly what design thinking is about, having customer centricity, is putting the customer or the issue or the group of people or the market you are solving, you put it in the middle and you try to find the issue around to solve it. And this what's happening is, like, once you put the customer centricity in the middle, you try to focus on this customer and to observe what the issue, what the problem, okay, and to observe, to have more insight, to understand what the experience they are looking for, and to collect feedback. So the moment you have this customer in the middle and to observe this customer or this client or this market or this specific group, you by then understand, okay, now I have this observation and I understand what the issue is. Then I can come back with my team and generate a proper idea and create the proper, let's say, MVP or prototype and test it. By then I save a lot of money and I save a lot of effort and time. So rather than spending 1 year creating a product or creating an innovation, working in big innovation project that customer that they exactly don't want it, no. After being outside in the market and understand it, I come back and I'm okay, I can solve now the issue with the market because I've been outside for long and I observe exactly what the issue is. I will give you more example on the next slides to understand exactly what's happening. So in design thinking, we start with the empathy. Empathy, that means you go outside and hear, listen, observe, talk to the client, have a question, make interviews, do a survey, But this is not happening only digital and sending email. You go outside and observe. Like, for example, if you want to solve an issue with the customer, for example, or you want to create a product, first of all, you want to see, okay, this is a big innovation project that I want to work in. But I want to go outside and see how exactly the customer is working with this product and how they're using it and how exactly the issue with it and how I can solve it. So before I start creating an ideas and making prototype, no, go outside, have an empathy, understand from the people who are using it, do your own research. But once you call it an empathy, that means you go outside and you sit and you talk and you observe. So you play the role of anthropology, like you understand the human, you understand how people behave and how people talk. So, and this is exactly one of the tools they call empathy map. The empathy map is like, once you put the customer or the person, or we call it a persona in the middle, you want to observe how this person think and feel about my company, or how they think and feel about my product that I'm thinking to innovate or to create a new product, how they see it, what they talk about it. Because sometimes they might put something on writing on the survey, but outside they say and they do something else, and how they hear. So from this perspective, once you have in this empathy and you put it outside with your team, you come and realize exactly what the issue in the market, and you understand exactly what this problem is trying to solve. So you didn't only rely on data, you didn't rely only on online searching. No, you exactly go outside and you met few people or few customer, then you can come back and innovate. Then once you come back, you said, okay, let's define the problem. And it's exactly what Einstein said. If I have 1 hour to solve a problem, I'll spend 30 minutes or half of the time. So if you define the right problem, exactly, you can find the right solution. But this is the issue I was seeing in companies. They don't really define the right problem, or they find the problem statement around the human. They immediately jump with the solution, or they jump with the ideation. So in design thinking, said, no, start with the empathy, then move with the define the problem. Once you understand the customer, you can define the problem statement, understand exactly what the issue is. So you can come up with a specific problem you want to solve. And here, once you understand the specific problem, you come with the ideation. Okay, guys, let's do the brainstorming. Let's try to find what the problem is, and let's create more idea how we can solve it. We exactly understand the market, we understand the customer, we understand the pain point and what the issue. And we have now a specific budget to work on this. So let's start, and we define the problem. So let's start to create new ideas and to see how we can solve this problem. And this is what's happening now, that once you have the proper idea in the market, because you have the proper problem statement specific in your hand, and before that you have the specific understanding the market prior to that. So this is 3 stages will help you to give you the proper idea to solve, and the proper idea that you want to create a prototype behind. And this is exactly the next step. So once you create a prototype is like an MVP. You create something. Now there is 2 defined prototype. You can create a small mock-up. So exactly, if you are in a design stage, you can create a mock-up and see, or you can create a proper product, but with minimum cost, with minimum features, and just go outside and test it. Okay, if it's working out, people love it, people like it. But the difference between prototype and MVP, prototype could be like very basic, and it's like it's very cheap, and because you can do the prototype fast just to test the design, okay, and you can easily test it. The MVP is like it's a proper product, but with minimum features, with not full features, but it has the feature that you think you will solve a problem to the customer. So that's why they call it minimum viable product. Minimum, that it have a very minimum features that you only want to test it. Viable, that means you can go out and test it. That means it's viable, it's safe, and you can put it in the market. And they call it a product because it's product. However, nowadays we can see they call it minimum viable concept, or minimum viable, let's say, business model, or minimum viable innovation. So whatever you want to call it, but it always should have a minimum viable, that it have the minimum feature you want to test it. It's viable, that means it's safe to put it outside and the customer test it and try it. However, the prototype could be like a small prototype that is not really ready in the market. Later on, I will give you some example about the difference in between prototype and MVP. So then you will go outside and taste. This is exactly what you want to do is go outside, leave your lab, your room, and try to investigate your prototype or your MVP is making sense in the market or no. You are testing new ideas now. Is this new ideas making happen? Is the customer love it? Is the customer find a good beneficial around it or no? And this what's happening now that most of the customer, you work with them what we call customer development. Customer development that you go outside and you sit with the customer, said, okay, we want to have an MVP and we want to test it with you. You will love it, you will like it, you will give us the feedback. And this exactly will show how you build a relationship and a partnership level with your customer. Like if the customer said, yeah, I'm sure, I'm happy, come and test it and we'll see if we like it. And one of the example I found it over here when I was in GE, the customer said, I'm happy to put this engine, the diesel X as an MVP, and I will test it on my, let's say, in my boat or in my in any area I want to use this engine. And I will test it. I will give you a feedback on it. And I know that it's a minimum feature. I'm fine with that. But I'm happy to be the first person or the first adopt or the early adopter, they call it. So from this stage, you see, okay, here where you build a relationship and a partnership level with your customer. Because you work with him in a level, okay, we are in customer development, we have this MVP, we sit outside with many customers like you, and we need to test it. So do you like to test it with you? It have minimum features, so you won't be much happy, but we need to test this specific feature on it and to try it with you. And definitely most of the customers, they will say yes, because they want to be a part of this journey. And this is what they call it, customer development journey or the testing journey. But you will not reach this level with your customer till you have this kind of a partnership with them. And this what is exactly the innovation approach is you want to move your customer relationship to be in a partnership level. You need your innovation project manager. You need the innovation team to collaborate with them to co-create a new solution for them so you can create something that the customer love it and like it. And this exactly what's happening now in the market, that big companies, they're creating MVP, they take it outside for the few customers, they test it, they see it, they love it, then they will come back. Either they will change the feature or they will scale it up. But unfortunately, before that, many companies, they're not having this tested concept or pilot concept or customer development or co-create something with the client. They create something and they immediately push it in the market to sell it, which most of the time either it failed because they built something the customer didn't like it, or few times it's success because just of luck, or maybe they are the first person who will start with this idea. So why design thinking? Well, why design thinking? Because it's, first of all, it's beneficial to the business and it's give you very innovation compared with other ideas. So how is this happening? As I said in the beginning, in design thinking, it's rely on two things. It rely on qualitative, which is intuition on the market, where you go outside and collect qualitative data from your customer. And you have the data, which is the quantitative research that you did by your own. So once you have these both data together, you have a synthesis to solve a problem. So before that, many companies, they were just relying on the data either from the internet or long-time research. They were not really going outside to solve a problem. But design thinking, they said, no, you should collect both of them to solve a problem. So you go outside, you collect idea, and they will call it qualitative research. And then you catch the idea that you do it from your research, from your database, from your lesson learn experience from different projects, and you call it quantitative. You put them together, and then you can take it further. So this is why design thinking is very beneficial and helpful in innovation project. Then in design thinking, there's three pillars. There's desirability. Desirability, that means customer love it. So in desirability, that means, are we solving a right problem? Is the something the project, the innovation project we are working in, the customer really love it? They will like it? Is this like something customer will buy it? Are we solving unmet needs? So from this desirability, you will only know only once you go outside the market. and you try to observe the customer and observe the market or the project or any persona you're trying to solve the problem for. The second part is the feasibility. After we come back, okay, we found an innovation project that the customer have high desire, they love it, and we are solving a real problem. Then, okay, the visibility part is like, can we make it? Do we have the visibility capability to solve it? Or we need to acquire other people to solve it for us? Is it when? Can we, is it healthy for our business? Or is like it's out of our capability and we cannot run this kind of business because they are solving, we need to solve a problem that out of our visibility. The third part is viability. Okay, there is an issue, the innovation project we want to work in, either a software or a product or a project we want to work in to build. There is a high visibility in the market and we can do it. But can we make money from it? So this is what we call it viability. Is this project add value to us? Is this project like adding value to our business? Can we make money from it? Is it worth it if it's profitable? So in every design thinking, in any project you work in design thinking, you have to apply these three pillars. Is it desirable? Customer love it. Is it visible? Can we do it? Do we have the visibility and technicality and capability to do it, or we need to acquire? And the third thing is like, can we make money from it? So how we can put all these things together? We put things together in the next slide, which is like, from the first circle, you see, okay, it's a human disability, that means they love it. Then we have technical visibility, that means we can do it, and we have a viability over here, that means it's making money. Now, what's happening, sometimes we can create, there's a need in the market, and we're solving something, customer, they love it, and we have technical feasibility to do it, but we are not making money. Why? Because there is lack of business model. So that means we have to focus to innovate in a new project to create a new business model. However, sometimes is like the customer, we don't really solve a specific problem in the market. It's not really a big issue with them, but we can do it. It's easily to do it, and it's making a lot of money. And this is exactly what we call disruptive innovation. That means you make something cheap, fast, and better than the market. And you are solving specific problem in the market that technically it was not an issue for them. Like Uber, for example. Nobody was an issue in the taxi. Everybody's going outside. And if you ask people outside, they don't have an issue with the taxi. But however, it's very visible to do it, and it's a lot of profit to make it. So they become very disruptive, and they disrupt the whole taxi business. And it becomes high desirable on the market. However, you will reach the point, if you reach a point to find a high desirability project in innovation, and you have a high feasibility to do it, and you can make money. So this is what we call it innovation sweet spot. So this innovation sweet spot is exactly in the middle where you can reach the three pillars together. And here where you can see, okay, this exactly the problem I'm solving, and this is exactly what I need to do in the market. However, there's something called emotional innovation that there is a high money on it, and the customer really love it. But for example, we don't have the technicality or visibility to do it. Like for example, you want to do a travel to the moon as a tourist. Many customers love it, and there is a high business around it. But visibility, we can't really do it because it's not really visible nowadays to travel to the moon and have this travel space. So this exactly the three pillars that you always need to think and see where you rely on your innovation project. And if you take it all together, you can put the design thinking process as follows. You start with the empathizing, then you define the problem, then you ideate in the solution, then you prototype. However, sometimes the prototype, once you go outside and test it, if it's not work out, you go back again and create other two prototype. However, if you keep doing that, that means, okay, there's an issue in the ideation, let's go and create a new idea for a prototype. But if you end up is like, the testing is not working well, that means, okay, maybe we defined the wrong problem. So you go back again with the define and try to define the right problem. So that's why you keep the ideation always in the middle to see if you are solving the right problem or no. So this is the process of design thinking to see exactly how it's happening and how we always put the ideation part in the middle and try to ideate around it. Okay, so before that, I want to see if you have more questions. Now, in next slide, I want to talk about details and some examples, how we apply design thinking and how different, let's say, we'll talk about in different projects and how we do it. But before we go to that, I just want to see if you have any questions. Okay, empathizing, it's kind of an empathy. It's empathy. That means you have kind of a sympathy to the customer. So that means empathy. That means you go outside and you sit with your customer and you understand their problem. You talk to them. So you feel, you give him kind of emotion, feeling that you worry about their problem and you try to solve it. So this, the empathy is like once, like for example, in a hospital, the patient is sick. So once you go out with the patient and you talk to them and you understand what the issue and how you can make their life easier in the hospital, this is what we call it empathy, because you have an empathy to the customer or to the market. So you go outside and you start to talk to them and try to solve it. So this is what we call it empathy. So that means you go outside and you observe and you try to experiment different thing just to solve it. Any question? Okay, there is a more project on. Okay, I'm just reading the question. If you have a question, so I can just pause and answer it. So, okay, there is a question, visibility and viability. Can you elaborate more? So, in visibility, exactly. Okay, just let me go to this slide. Visibility, it exactly can this. Okay, we found a problem that we need to solve. That really it's high desire in the market. So, in visibility is like, do the company have the capability to innovate or to create a solution for this market? Do we have the capability? Do we have the team? Do we have the right engineers? Do we have the right software? Do we have the right manpower to create this project or to work in this project? So this, the feasibility is like, do we have the technical capability to solve it? Like, for example, I want to give you the moon issue. Like, we don't have still capability to make a flight all over to go to the moon and come back. So because we don't have the technical feasibility on it. And viability is like, can we make money? Is this a problem we're solving or a project we want to work in? Can we make money from it? Is it viable? Is this business model we're trying to do or to innovate? Is it profitable? Because in the end, if we are working on something is not profitable, so why we want to do it? We are not charity company. Yeah, but this is the difference between viability and visibility. Okay, I'll explain the lack of business model. So here, for example, lack of business model is like, if you find something in the market, or you have a product or your current project in innovation, or you have, let's say, a solution or a platform, or for example, a product that the customer really love it, and there is a high demand in the market on it, and you can easily do it. You have the team, you have the engineer, you have the staff to do it, but you're not making money. Like, we are not making money. Our product is like the customer like it, and we have the visibility, but we cannot make money. So that means the issue is not with the product, the customer like it or no. It's not about our cost and our cost, or for example, our technical issue. It's about how we make money, how we do business for the customer, the way we offer the customer. And here exactly what's happening nowadays. Before, like for example, many companies were selling the product or selling the software, and they found after time they're not making money from selling the software because the business model is not really helpful or is not really healthy. So they change the business model from selling the product to moving to subscription model. Okay, you subscribe, and this is what Adobe have done. Okay, we stop selling Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Photoshop or any of their product. You go with the subscription, You pay monthly fee or yearly fee, and then we start to make money from that. But if you want to sell the software by itself as a lump sum fee from day one, you really, after later on, you will not make money from it, because people will just buy it, and after maybe a couple of years they will buy it again. So this is exactly what's lack of business model. Okay, I don't see more questions. I can move on. The biggest break. Okay, there is one more question. I will take it. Then I can move to the second slides. Uh, okay, can we take a break for like a 7 minutes? Okay, people want to pray. So, okay, so we'll take a break for 10 minutes and we can start at 7:20. I think it's 7:20 now. We can continue. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Okay, there's a few questions over here. I will go through it maybe uh, fast, but I see many of you asking question about the MVP and prototype. Later on in the other slides, I will touch base on the prototype and the MVP. So if it still did not answer your question, maybe I can keep it in the end as well to talk about it. And there was one person here was asking about the ideation. Well, the ideation is technically is like creating a new concept. So if you, for example, want to create a new ideas in the market and to see if this a new idea is, there's no really specific methodology, but the concept of before creating the idea, before you start the method of creating a new ideas, you should first do your homework outside with the empathy. So once you understand the market and understand exactly what the customer and what the issue, then you can take it further with the ideation. And in the ideation is the part is like you start always with how might we. Okay, we found the issue in the market. We found what the problem we want to solve. So we create with how might we make life better, how might we reduce our cost, how might we solve this problem. So you start always how might we. So this is exactly what's happening in the ideation is like you want to find a new concept, a new innovation ideas around the problem that you already defined. So this is what the ideation happening. So, and the issue what's happening now in the market and many companies, they start immediately with the ideation and create a new idea before doing the ideation. It's still in the middle, like over here. Ideation is in the middle. So before you doing the ideation, I start to create new ideas to solve the problem. Define the problem first. So define your problem and find if you are really solving the right problem or no, or you have the specific problem defined. Then you can move further with a prototype. And even before you move to the ideation, see if, as well if you go outside and understand the customer needs, and you are having this empathy and sitting outside with many customer or with many let's say persona that you are trying to solve the problem for. So this is the ideation methodology. It's not like you start with the ideation and giving ideas. No, it's like a kind of a process that you have to go through it before jumping to the idea. So you should be outside and observing, defining that exactly you're solving the problem, the right problem or no. Then you can come up with a new idea to solve. Okay, don't see more question. There's a few questions about MVP and pilot and prototype. On other slides, I will talk in details about that. So if you still have more question, I can touch base on that. Okay, so now let's talk about how design thinking is helping, how the whole process is working out. So let's start about something in design thinking. We call it the good things in it's called customer journey map. Customer journey map, that means before, for example, if you have an issue in the market or you want to solve, you have a project to innovate on, like, for example, on Dubai airport, okay, the passenger coming out and in, or for example, inside the hospital, or for example, if you want in a Starbucks, for example, they need to make a new innovation project to improve the experience inside. So you have something called customer journey map. So in customer journey map, exactly what you do is like you put yourself inside the place you want to solve the problem, and you start to observe how the customer is moving around the place you want to solve the problem, and then you exactly make a map around it. So, but before doing and giving an idea how you can solve it, you should be outside empathizing and sitting and observing what this customer is doing and define exactly where's the bottleneck and what's the problem you want to solve. So this is what we call it customer journey map that design thinking is really helping to solve. And in design thinking, technically they call it service design because there is service issue. It's not a product, it's not like a specific software, or it's not like it's like a service issue. Either could be in a Starbucks, in a cafe, or in an airport, or in a hospital, or anything. So what you do exactly that we call it service design, start. We found exactly what the issue with the service. We go with a workflow. There's more consideration. We want to look for it, and we start to. And every this part of the service, we call it touch point. Touch point or stage where the customer interact with your service, and you start to map it out. And every one of these services, every one of these touch points, you start to see, okay, the customer spending 2 minutes here, 3 minutes here. So it's like kind of in the Lean Six Sigma, they call it value streaming. But here is like more basic model to put all things together and see where the problem is and where things is stopping and taking time to solve it. This in design thinking, we call it service design. And you map out the whole process that you need to solve to find where the bottleneck and you're trying to solve. And this can be applied on either sometime later on you see in the stages and software as well, like in software development, to see how the customer moving from one page to the other once you move to the digital transformation. So this is the good thing on the design thinking, that one of the process you have to go through it is called customer journey map. However, the prototype over here is like it easily, because once you change the process or once you remove the waste area where it's not related, you can immediately test the process or test this new workflow and you see if it's taking less time or more. But if you want to start immediately giving ideas before absorbing, this will not work out. And here is like the model or the prototype is like a new workflow. You are trying to test it and put it in, on the customer entities. Now, design thinking for product innovation. Here is like want to give you an example how the prototype happening. There is a company called Altitude. They collaborate with a design company called Frog because they want to innovate a new product for a roller coaster for the elderlies. So there is 100,000 in the market, and they couldn't find the proper model that really the elderlies want to have. So what they did exactly, they go outside to one of these elderlies centers, and they start to look to them and observe how these people using the roller coaster, and they see how exactly they are interact, how they touch it, what the problem, and they did many interviews with them and to talk to them what the issue with this roller coaster, how we can help it with you, what you are looking for the new model, and they start just to collect these ideas and insight. Then they come back and they do the ideation after insight, and they start to make small prototype over here in a design. And they didn't go immediately and create in the factory thousands of roller coaster. They create one or two fast in their lab, and they just put it to test it. So they take it outside. They call it prototype or minimum viable product because it's technically a product, but with minimum cost. It's not with high finishing, with all details. It's just like basic needs that they need to test it. They give it to the elderly, and the elderly start to use it for a few days, and they come back and they collect ideas. Oh, okay, I found it nice, but it's still friction in the wheel. Or you know what, I prefer if there's a bag in the front, or maybe I can just wrap it quickly and put it on the car and on the cabinet back in the car. So they start to collect these ideas, and they always come back with a new prototype and to test it. And here what we call it is like, this is like a basic prototype or like an MVP. They go outside and test it and to see if it's work out with the elderlies or no. Now, however, the final finishing exactly is like, okay, once the elderly said, this is the best things I want to have, they move it to the factory. But they didn't move it to the factory before they're going outside, observing the elderlies, how they use that and what their issue. They find exactly what the pain point and what the differentiation they need to have compared with other roller coaster. And they start to create different prototype. And like there's a quick, if you go to the YouTube and you just make an altitude design thinking, they will show you the whole case on that. And this what like, and when I was working in GE and Siemens, when they wanted to create a new product, they call it a pilot. Okay, it doesn't have a full features. It's just a demo. They create a few of them, but they create it from observing from the customer. So you go outside, you sit and you test it with the customer. However, not all the customer will accept. They said, okay, I'm not a mouse lab, but it's not about being a mouse lab, but it's like, we want to develop a new product with you. We want to test this if you like it or not. Now, this is like a one example how you can test a prototype and take it outside.
but it depends exactly what the product and how you can. Now, if it's software, it'll be more easier. But if it's like an actual physical product, okay, you need to have this kind of small lab, or let's say a garage lab to work it and to design it. But the concept of minimum viable product, that it doesn't need to have a full finishing and features and all the details. It has only the details that you really need to test it and see if it's work out with the client, and you go out to test it. Test it, that means you need to have, you don't go out and just put it in any place. You should have this customer relationship and understanding in the early stage if they want to be in a pilot project or no. So this is exactly example once you want to apply design thinking in a product innovation. The other part is like if you want to innovate on application or user experience. This is exactly what's happening nowadays. If you want to create a software or application, or you want to improve your whole website to be fully digital and have good experience. So you don't need to start. You can start with the process, to go outside and see exactly how the usability test, how they use the software, what the issue, or why they spend 2 hours in application form, why they spend many times on doing the testing and the software, how we can make the software more easier and efficient. So once they try to test, they create many prototypes in the software, and they test it in different places, or they test it even with the people themselves to try it. And whenever you want to develop a new application or a new user experience with your customer, you need to apply the design thinking process, because before you're going to improve any software or adding any page or developing any application to solve this customer problem in the digitalization process, you need to sit with them and talk to them to understand what the issue, and to define, is this exactly the features you're looking for? And here is the MVP will be very efficient, because you can create an apps with minimum features and see if the people love it and like it. Then you can take it further to next stage. So you don't need to have the full feature from day one that will cost you money. One of the big example happening here is with IBM. IBM, they start to have, in the last 3 years, they have their own IBM design thinking certificate, which, like you can see, they have their own practitioner. So what they start to do is like they're applying design thinking process whenever they want to innovate or create a new application or to improve the user experience in their product. So they call something observe, reflect, and make. Observe is like you empathize, you go outside, you do empathy, you define a problem with your customer, you reflect it on a prototype, and if it's work out, you will make it happen. So IBM, what they did exactly, they apply the whole design thinking process, and they start to have different lab. They start to have lab in first one in New York, in California, and I think in Silicon Valley. Then they have to have one in New York, then in UK and in Europe, and then they move to India and other places. So what IBM aiming is that before we start immediately creating ideas and making a prototype and ship it to the customer, which in that customer, they don't really like it, or they said, well, actually, you don't serve the right problem, we don't have an issue with this application, or you are not really solving the user experience we want to do. So they start to apply the design thinking process, and like they start even to have different lab in different region to understand different market, and you go outside, sit with them, and that's why they call it cognitive enterprise. That if you want to create an efficient and a transformative and enterprise, you should apply the design thinking to understand exactly what the issue, what they want to solve, what the problem, and by then you can define this problem and you can create a solution behind. But before doing any prototype or before creating any solution in the market, you need first of all to observe, and this is what they call it: observe, reflect, and make. So you can, like, even they have a certificate to take it, but I do believe you should have a proper project to work with them to be a certified. But technically, they just apply this process, and either you can see, like, you can apply it either in a product, or you can apply it on a software, or even you can apply it in a process inside the airport or a hospital or a cafe. Why? Because IBM, they are targeting to solve customer problem and to solve customer issue that it's really pain point for them, to understand them, not just to create it from their mind. The other part of the design thinking is the business model innovation. In business model innovation, as we see that sometimes you have lack of business model. That means you're not making money in the business model. So in the business model canvas, this is famous for all startup. It's from Strategizer. It has a three part. The first part is like what exactly you are solving, what the problem you are solving to the customer. Then what's your capabilities, what's your activity, and what's your partner, and then your cost structure. Now, this is like a very details, and sometimes you can spend 2 days workshop only on this slide, but I want to describe it fast how design thinking apply here. So from this three part, design thinking, it's happening that you apply the three pillars. First of all, is there a problem you are solving, the customer really issuing it? So this is the desirability. Then from your resources and partner and activity, this is the visibility. And from the cost and the revenue, this is the viability. So once you apply your design thinking pillars in your business model, you can create the business model that the market, they love it. And this is what, for example, nowadays companies doing. They try to find what exactly the problems they want to solve, what the customer are trying to do, and to see, okay, we have issue with the visibility with our partners or with our resources, so we need to solve it. Or maybe with the viability, we are not making money, so maybe it's about our cost. Maybe we need to move our cost. Or maybe in the revenue stream, we are selling a product. Maybe we need to move to platform business model. So applying design thinking and the business model generation, it will help you to create the best business model for your either project or your product or your solution you're offering to your market. And here is what the innovation happening. Like as you see in the previous slide, once you have the three pillars, if these three pillars work together, you can have the sweet spot where you can have the best business model you can offer to your customer and you can offer it to your market. And here, what will happening is like in the business model, like you don't need to have many business models. Like you can start with one or two, test it in the market. Okay, shall we do selling or subscription? Shall we like selling a product on this price or no? So in different, shall we partner with those people or other people? So this kind of business model, you can have different and you can analyze, redesign, and review. And it is exactly what's happening once you are agile. So you don't create one business canvas and you go outside and implement it and spend a lot of money. You can just test it and you see, and there's a lot of way to test the business model. You can test it from landing page, you can test it with the customer, you can just apply it in one project, depend on which project you are in. So the last one is like the agile lean startup. And here is like what I was describing previously is once the corporate want to innovate, they don't need to have a 5 years plan. They need to start to invest in a small team, in small ideas, either like team need to work in business model, team work to innovate a new application, a team need to innovate a new product. So before like they have one ideas, they spend it for 2-3 years, they spend a lot of money, and they end up discovering they're not solving the right problem. So they spend a lot of money and a lot of time, it's not working. So you create and you invest in one idea or 2 or 3 for a quarterly basis or only for 6 months. You build an MVP or a business model behind it as an MVP or a prototype. You measure it. You see, are you solving the right problem? Are you have jobs to be done? You see the customer, you understand, okay, as you see in the roller coaster, do the elderlies love it, like it? There's an issue on it, or in the application and the software, is there no friction on it? Then, okay, you adopt this experimental mentality, then you learn. Once you learn, then, okay, shall I go it further, take it to Excel and ship it, or like, oh, I decided take it, not to take it further or to adapt it. Or maybe so from the learning stage, you can learn exactly, shall I go further or no? And here, once you start to adapt the agile, so actually, I want to put them all the three together. Design thinking, explore the right problem. See if you are solving the right problem or not. You start to build something behind the problem after you finish designing it, to build the right thing. Build the right thing, that means I need to build something that I can make profitable from it and make money from it. So this is the lead. Agile is build the thing right. That means the agile process to take things further and move it and scale it up and keep changing and have the mindset of agile. You should build the thing right. And this, once happened, build the thing right, is the way you invest your money. you should build your investment capability and your investment portfolio in the right way. So you're not investing in one for a long time. You should have small batches with a small team and invest on it. And this is in a nutshell what's happening in the three part of design thinking, lean, and agile. So I want to end up this with like a quickly the map, how things happening. So design for digital. We see this nowadays, we're happening now in the digital transformation, how things happening and how the map we are going further. So in the digitization is making things paperless. So here where you can start to go outside and understand the service design and understand how we can move from analog to digital. This is what we call it digitization. Here you can apply service and design thinking on your innovation project. But this is exactly, it's become like a very, all the companies now going to digital, and it just call it digitization, and you understand what kind of product you want to make it all digital or all paperless. The second part we call digitalization is like once you start to improve your process inside the company and you start to apply design thinking and lean and make things frictionless. Here where you start to improve the customer experience, you change the whole operation. Is exactly this what Amazon doing. The whole process inside Amazon become very digital, and most of the company now, all the operation inside is very digital. But to apply this, you need to think and design thinking, okay, before I move to digital, I want to understand what the issue, what the problem. And I create different prototype, depends on the customer needs and what the problem inside the company. The third part of that digital transformation is the digital transformation, creating a platform. And here what we call it digital transformation is once you have everything digital and you digitalize your whole process, then you can start to move your business model and to add value. To move this business model is like once you go outside and understand, okay, the customer is moving now to digital, everything is like they need a platform to work on it. So I need to move to a platform business model. But to move to this area, you cannot understand before, like you need to apply design thinking and be an agile to create this new innovation process, a new innovation project in your company. And here where happening is like most of company, they start to think to go to digital transformation, but they still didn't really did the whole homework. Customers still not happy. There is an issue in their process. That's what IBM is trying to do is like, you need to go and observe and see what the issue inside your customer or your process, and to learn and to create new ideas in your innovation and apply design thinking before you moving to digital transformation. However, the last stage is like to having a digital ecosystem is once you have a full digital business model, you can create an innovation from from the big data you have. The more data you collect, you start to observe and create, okay, you apply design thinking again. Okay, I'm fully digital. And this is exactly what's happening now, for example, let's say on Netflix. Netflix is say, okay, I'm now fully digital, all the digital process, and I'm moving to platform. They start to collect ideas. They start to make, again, apply design thinking. And I'll say, okay, I'm collecting a lot of data from the customer, what type of movie you are watching, what kind of series, the ages, depends on the geography. Then they create new movies and they start to partner with different movie maker so they can keep their customer happy and satisfied. So to apply to be a full digital ecosystem, you need to apply the design thinking to understand, to observe, to analyze this data, and as well go outside and see exactly what's happening. So this is what helps you in design thinking once you want to apply it on your digital transformation journey. And as well, IBM is working as well in this part. They have something called IBM Watson, where IBM Watson, they collaborate with Siemens when I was with them, that they take all the data from hospital and from the patient, and they analyze it, and they try to make it beneficial and create value behind it to Siemens. So Siemens can develop a new product or develop a new solution to the customer. So to have this kind of thinking to move to digital ecosystem and to have this new innovation, you need to apply design thinking and be agile and lean, because the data by itself will not help you. Will help you is like how to make data beneficial to your customer and to add value. And to do this, you have to go outside and see exactly what the customer love, and to analyze the data in the right way to make it beneficial. Then here is the roadmap. The roadmap, what's happening, what I repeated many times, start with the customer impact. Start with the design thinking. And you create a lean startup methodology with many sprints. See if it's working out and the idea we're testing in the market is solving or no. Then you go to the, okay, it's something working out. We test something into, okay, how we can make money from it, how we can create a business model. So here where you do like create a prototype, MVP, you test it, either you test business model or you test a new idea. Then you go with the agile development, how to make things sustainable and to iterate our business to make it beneficial. And this exactly, I want you to understand that this workflow is not linear. And most of people think it's linear. I want to start here. No, maybe you already solved the problem, but maybe the issue with the business model. So you don't need to go a linear process. Or maybe I'm already in this stage because I have a good business and I understand exactly what the issue and I did a lot of testing. So maybe I just need to be an agile to scale and to move further. So what I want you to understand from this before we end up and keep time for the question, that this process is not linear. Okay, and it's like you can iterate, you can start in whenever you like, but depends exactly where you stand and what the issue with the customer and where you are in your innovation project. Are you in the middle? Are you solving a new problem, or you want to iterate to create a new innovation solution? Then you can start from here. Then is like here what we call it on the strategy. Once you have a strategy, you start with the data. But however, the market will push you to move this strategy because you have different things happening in the market. So you'll have something called emergent strategy. Then you will end up having a realized strategy. So you'll always have an intended strategy that you want to apply it. But if you are not agile in your thinking and your strategy, you will end up like going outside the market, because the market always will push different ideas or different prototype or different business model that didn't like it. So you should be an agile in your strategy so you realize the final one. And here exactly what happened. You start with the data, but once you go outside, you observe from the market and you have the intuition, then you create the proper strategy in the market. And luckily, like just yesterday, I found this on Brightline. Brightline is a new initiative from the PMI. It's talk about mostly about the how to close the gap between strategy and the execution. They talk about the top framework on strategy implementation. It's agile project, collect KPIs and result, design thinking, and business canvas. And this exactly, I found it what exactly I was talking about it all the time. You can download the report in their website. And here where the Brightline was talking technically that in any strategy implementation you want to have, you should have adopt these 5 frameworks. You should be agile. You should find a purpose or objective that you, a problem or define exact objective you want to solve. Adapt, having KPIs, balanced scorecard, and this exactly once you want to create any incrementally growth, the guy was asking for is like to have a scorecard. Okay, this is an MVP. I want to test 1, 2, 3 to see if I'm solving the right problem. That's why the minimum features I won't have in my MVP to test it. So that's why we call the scorecard, and you put it in the market. You apply design thinking, and you see, and the business canvas is the business model canvas I was talking about it, is to test different framework. Okay, the last 3 takeaway, and we can have 10 minutes for the question, is the first of all is about the team. Believe in a small team. Okay, adapt, like have a discipline, like you have to choose either to have a discipline execution or you need an innovation. This disciplined execution, that means you need everything by the book, you go by process, then this will kill the innovation. Then is like you need a cross-functional team, they collaborate together, they help each other to win, or you go with a bureaucracy. So you need to believe in the small team in innovation to go outside and adapt this mindset. The second thing is experimental. Is adapt experimental culture. That means fail and learn fast. Have this psychological safety. Psychological safety, that means you want to give people the safety. Okay, fine, go out, fail once, fail 2 times, because we need to learn. So they should have this safety. But unfortunately, many companies, they don't give that. Especially here, what I found in the Middle East, if you fail, you are dead. Yeah, and this actually not happening. Back in In other places, no, they adapt it. So you should adapt the experimental culture. Finally, a plan, invest in short sight for innovation. If you need to innovate, you don't need to have a 5, 6, 7 years plan or 2 year plan with big amount. You should adapt a small short of innovation. That means in short term, you validate. If it's work out, you'll take it further. If you didn't work out, you will enhance it. This is my 3 takeaway that in any innovation project, you want to have to adapt it and to think about it. So, and last thing I want to say before we go is remember, you can have the best idea ever, but without execution, it's mean nothing. So idea is just an idea without an execution. So you need to think about execution first. And this is what the bright line in the PMI was talking about. It's about execution. Like you can see, for example, here in Dubai, Kareem, they copy Uber, Souk, they copy Amazon, but they executed very well. It was very good innovation. They executed well, their success. Nobody care about if they copy or no, but they executed very well. So the main key is the execution. Yeah, so by then I can finish. Thank you for attending. This is my LinkedIn. You can copy it. And I'm happy just now to go to your question and read it if you have for the next 10 minutes. I'll go to the question. Okay, there is one person asked about emerging strategy. I'll elaborate more because here, this is from Henry Metzberg. So it's described between how realized fit strategy. So beginning in the company, they always come and having talk, analyze to create a new strategy. And they always rely on the data. So this we have this intended strategy in innovation. We want to apply it and put it on the market. But it always relies on data. Once they go outside in the market, they discover there's many things in their strategy, either in a product or an innovation or in a business model or in a software. The customer, they didn't like it, they push back. So this is what they call it, the thing they don't like, they call it unrealized strategy. So many things happening, which more about hypothesis driven, the emerging market and emerging strategy, they come to, okay, you need to adapt yourself, you need to be an agile and collect these data and then understand the market and accept this emerging strategy. Then by then, once you have this emerging strategy coming from the market that push back that thing they don't like it, then you have deliberated strategy. Deliberate strategy, that means the strategies come from the experience, from understanding the market, and from realizing exactly what the market needs. When these two emerging and deliberated strategies coming, then you will have the realized strategy, which exactly the strategy you need to apply it. And later on, this Agile will change. But to have this, you need to do something what you call customer development. You go outside and you develop things with the customer and you see if your strategy working out or no. This is what I mean on the emerging and deliberate strategy. What other questions? Well, okay. This is very technical once it comes to construction project, but in the construction project, you have always to ask yourself, okay, before I start, for example, building a mall, do we need, like, for example, if you want to a mall inside an island or an area in Dubai or any place, and you give all the data, you talk to consultant, and you find that you need a big mall in Dubai. But if you want to apply design thinking and have been a bit agile, I say, okay, we have this money, we want to invest in a project for build a mall. But let's go outside in the market and observe the malls in Dubai, or observe the malls for example, if you want to do it on Italy or Spain, to see how people interact with the mall, and there is really high power of purchasing and there is high demand in the mall. So the more you observe, you understand, okay, do we really need more or no? Now the data itself, if you collect it, maybe it will show you that you need more. But if you go outside and observe, okay, maybe we don't really need more. We can invest the money in other places. So you save a lot of money in construction and building the mall. Okay, this is like just a quick example in construction. Like, do we, like, for example, once we were doing our PMP, any project you want to do it is like it's meeting the feasibility and the objective and the strategic objective of the company. Okay, the strategic objective of the company, then they want to make money. They want to find something that they can make money from it and make profit. However, the data itself might show that, oh yeah, you can go and build more and make money. But in the end, once you go observe in the market and test, for example, observe, talk to people, talk to retailer, do empathy, talk with more retailer in the market and see how they observe, how they think, how they see many malls to see, okay, shall we do another mall or no? By then you can go and decide, okay, I think our strategy is not working. There's thousands of mall and we don't need another mall. We need another project to work in. So this is exactly how you can have this a strategy on once you want to apply a design thinking on construction or not. I think we have more 3 minutes. Maybe you can take another 2 questions. I'm trying just to read on the scroll it. Okay, there's a good question here from Asha about the customer journey. Usually in customer journey map depends on what kind of journey map you want to do. If you want to do a physical journey map inside, for example, airport or example inside hospital or Starbucks, you first all start with the data to see exactly, okay, this data show how many people visiting this place, how long it will take to prepare from in to out. So you start with the Internet of Things and collect these data and do your own survey. But however, once you want to create a prototype and try to test it, you want to change the workflow and to apply it and to see if it's work out or no. However, once it comes to, let's say, in the digital world and user experience, you want to see the person who's using the application or using your website and going through the process from A to Z. Is it like the usability test, what they call it? And it's like you're going through the journey for this application. Is it working well? Is it fast? Is it like the customer using the application smoothly? So you go with the process step by step once you want to use it. And this is what Amazon was doing in their application. People was using Amazon application to purchase and they love it. They immediately within a few clicks, they can do the purchase and they are happy with it. Why? Because they collect a lot of data on how the people using it and they test it many times to make it frictionless usage. And they didn't come with a discussion from 1 or 2 tests. No, they created many prototypes and they collect many data and they did many prototype and test to see if this application is working out or no. There is a question here about the service design. This is what I was talking about now about the service design is like if service design is like you designing for service purposes. Service purposes could be either for like an airport or hospital, or you're trying to make the workflow smooth and fast and efficient and lean inside the service facility. This could be an inside airport, or even like service design could be a software application. The customer, whenever they use one, I'm giving now an example of Amazon, they use the application, they love it, they fast. So this is what I mean in service design. I do believe we are almost on time now. I can take another last question. Okay, there is last question here about data. It's collected from people as well. So how is it different from intuition? No, there is 2 types of data. There is a data that you collected from your transaction, okay, from like how many person visited this, how many person download this, how many click here, and you collect it from either you purchase this data from the market, and sometimes it's old data, is not new. Sometimes this data is not really reliable that you can rely on. So this data is like, it's very abstract. It's not really reflecting what the customer is behaving. Okay, you might, as I was giving the example of the mall, you can find data about the market, the money spending, people spending on malls. But actually, if you go outside and you collect data, you found that most people doing purchasing online, and people stop going to mall for purchase. They're just going for a walk in. So this will give you an indication that once you go outside and sit with the customer and talk to them, you can collect intuition data that will help you to observe the market. Because in the end, the data that we have, the digital data that we have, it is only a data that could be an old data, or could be just not giving us a full reflection how the market and how the customer is. But to have a full picture, we need to go outside and talk to people and understand exactly what data we can understand from them, what information, insight we can have. And this is the difference between data abstract, we have it from the Internet of Things, from the big data, from our consulting, from the internet, or the data we collected once we observe and have empathy with the customer. Okay, I think we are exactly on time now, 8:01. I feel like few question here, but however, like you can connect with me on LinkedIn. We can talk on details as well. Like there's my page. You can add me, but I do believe I'm happy to stay more, but I don't want to exceed more than 2 hours. Okay. Guys, thank you. Really appreciate for time, and hopefully I can maybe do this in details later on once the things solve out, and we can like have a proper session for 1 day or 1.5 days where we can talk into details and I can share my experience and my knowledge about that. But the concept here is like, I see all the presentation we've been attending is very technical and it's more about project management, but nothing was on innovation, nothing was about the business itself and to think about as a project, because in the end, this is considered as a project. Any innovation is like a project. You need to take it in. You could be on the product, you could be in the service, or you could be in the business model. So yeah, hopefully we can next time take it further on detailed session. So thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. And hope you can get good benefits, and please connect with me on LinkedIn. Yeah, and we can like take it further next time in more time or face to face. Thank you very much.